The courtroom was silent. Una stood in chains before the Galactic Council, her gray fur matted with dried blood. Her yellow eyes stared forward unblinking. She did not bow. She did not beg. Around her, representatives from 50 different worlds watched with cold expressions. The High Chancellor raised one of his forearms. His voice echoed through the chamber. Una of the Lycan people, you have been found guilty of treason. You refused a direct order. You let the colonists escape. For this crime, there is only one punishment. Una's lips pulled back, showing her sharp teeth. They were innocent children, families. I will not apologize for letting them live. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. You were a soldier. Soldiers follow orders. You have dishonored your people and betrayed the Council. We strip you of your rank. We strip you of your citizenship. You are exiled to the moon of Kestar. You will die there alone and forgotten. The guards moved forward. Una did not resist as they dragged her away. She kept her head high. She had made her choice. She would face the consequences. The journey to Kestar took 3 days. Una sat in the prison ship, her hands still chained. The guards would not speak to her. They would not even look at her. To them, she was already dead. When the ship landed on the barren moon, they threw her out onto the gray sand. They tossed a small survival pack after her. Then they left without a word. Una watched the ship disappear into the dark sky. She was alone now. The moon of Kestar was a wasteland. Nothing grew here. The air was thin and cold. The nearest inhabited planet was months away at light speed. No one would come for her. No one would even remember her name. She picked up the survival pack and started walking. The pack contained basic supplies: water for 1 week, food pellets for 2 weeks, a small emergency beacon, a thin blanket. Nothing more. The Council wanted her to survive just long enough to understand how alone she was. Then they wanted her to die slowly. Una found a cave on the 2nd day. It was small but deep enough to protect her from the wind. She set up her camp inside. The cave was dark and cold, but it was shelter. She activated the emergency beacon and placed it at the entrance. The device sent out a distress signal across all frequencies. It was automatic. It would keep broadcasting until the power died. Days passed. Then weeks. Una rationed her supplies carefully. She knew no one would answer her call. The Council had marked her as an exile. Any ship that helped her would face the same punishment. The galaxy was full of rules and everyone followed them. Everyone except her. She spent her days exploring the moon. There was nothing to find, just rocks and dust and endless gray horizon. At night, she sat at the entrance of her cave and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, her people continued their lives. They had probably forgotten her already. The Lycan were a proud species. They did not speak of those who brought them shame. Una did not regret her choice. She closed her eyes and remembered that day. The order had been clear. The colony on Renval had refused to pay their taxes. The Council wanted to make an example. They sent soldiers to destroy everything.
Kill everyone.
Leave nothing but ashes. But when Una arrived, she saw the truth. These were not rebels. These were farmers, families, children playing in the streets, old ones sitting in the sun. They were poor. They could not pay the taxes because they had nothing to give, and the Council wanted them dead for it. Una had stood before her commanding officer. She had said no. She had told her unit to stand down. Then she had opened the emergency gates and let the colonists escape. Her fellow soldiers had been shocked. Some had tried to stop her. She had fought them. She had fought her own people to save strangers. The Council had called it treason. Una called it being alive. She had claws and teeth and strength. She could have killed those colonists easily. But what was the point of all that power if she only used it to hurt the weak? The galaxy was full of predators who called themselves civilized. Una refused to be one of them. More weeks passed. The supplies ran out. Una began hunting the small creatures that lived in the deep caves. They were barely enough to keep her alive. Her fur grew thin. Her body grew weak. But she did not give up. Survival was in her blood. The Lycan were hunters. They endured. The beacon continued its endless call. Every hour it sent the same message across the stars. Distress, coordinates, assistance needed. But space was vast and empty. The signal traveled for light years in all directions, touching nothing but void. Una began to lose track of time. Was it day 60? Day 70? The thin atmosphere of Kestar made it hard to think clearly. She spent more time sleeping. When she was awake, she moved slowly. Her yellow eyes had lost their fire. She was dying. She knew it. The moon was winning. One morning she woke to a strange sound. At first she thought she was dreaming. It was a low rumble growing louder. Yuna crawled to the entrance of her cave. She looked up at the gray sky. There, breaking through the clouds, was a ship. It was small, old. The hull was covered in scratches and repair patches. It moved awkwardly, like it was barely holding together. But it was real. Someone had answered her call. Yuna's heart began to pound. Hope and fear mixed inside her chest. Who would be foolish enough to help an exile? Pirates looking for easy prey? Slavers looking for fresh merchandise? Or was this a council trick? Had they sent someone to finish her off? The ship landed 100 meters from her cave. The engines coughed and died. For a long moment nothing happened. Then a hatch opened. A ramp extended to the ground. A figure appeared in the doorway. Yuna's eyes widened. It was a human. She recognized the species from her military training. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. They were new to space travel. Most species considered them weak, small, fragile, not worth noticing. The human walked down the ramp. He was tall for his species, with dark hair and darker eyes. He wore a worn flight suit and heavy boots. He carried a medical kit in one hand and a toolbox in the other. He stopped at the bottom of the ramp and looked around. His eyes found her cave. He started walking toward her. Yuna forced herself to stand. Her legs shook. She had not stood in days. She moved to the entrance of the cave and waited. The human approached slowly. He stopped 10 meters away. He raised one hand in a gesture of peace. "My name is Taeyang," he said. His voice was calm. "I picked up your distress call." "I came to help," Yuna stared at him. Her mind struggled to understand. "You came," she whispered. Her voice was rough from disuse. "Why, do you not know what I am? What I have done?" Taeyang tilted his head. "I know you are in trouble. I know you need help. That is enough." "I am an exile," Yuna said. The words tasted bitter. "The council has condemned me. Anyone who helps me will be punished. You should leave." "Forget you saw me?" Taeyang shook his head. "I did not come all this way to leave empty-handed. You are hurt. You are starving. Let me help you." Yuna's instincts screamed at her. This was a trap. It had to be. No one did things for free. Not in this galaxy. But she was so tired, so hungry. And the human's eyes were honest. She saw no deception in them. Only concern. "Why?" she asked again. "Why would you risk everything for a stranger?" Taeyang smiled. It was a small, sad smile. "Because someone once did the same for me. Because it is the right thing to do. Because you are alive, and that means you deserve a chance." He took a step forward. "Will you let me help you?" Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. She had nothing left to lose. If this was a trap, at least she would die on her feet. But if this human was telling the truth, if he really had come to help, then maybe the galaxy was not as cold as she thought. Taeyang walked into her cave. He set down his kit and opened it. Inside were medical supplies, food packets, water containers. Real supplies, not the cheap emergency rations the council had given her. He looked at her carefully, professional and detached. "You are dehydrated, malnourished, probably suffering from atmospheric poisoning. Let me examine you." Yuna sat down slowly. She watched as the human worked. His hands were steady, gentle. He treated her wounds. He gave her water and made her drink slowly. He gave her food and told her to eat in small bites. He worked in silence, focused entirely on helping her. As he worked, Yuna felt something strange. Something she had not felt in a long time. She felt safe. This human, this small, weak creature, had crossed the stars to answer her call. He had risked the council's anger. He had risked his life. For her, for a stranger, for an exile. Maybe, she thought, she had been wrong about the galaxy. Maybe there was still kindness in the darkness. Maybe there was still hope among the stars. And maybe, just maybe, she had found the one person in all the universe who understood what it meant to do the right thing, no matter the cost. Taeyang worked through the night. Yuna watched him in silence. She had never seen anyone move with such purpose. He checked her vitals. He cleaned her wounds. He set up a small heater in the cave to warm the cold air. Every action was careful and deliberate. He did not rush. He did not complain. He just worked. By morning, Yuna felt stronger. The water and food had helped. The medicine had dulled the pain in her body. She could think clearly again, and now that she could think, she had questions. "You are human," she said. Taeyang looked up from his work. "Yes, humans are not common in this sector. What are you doing out here?" Taeyang sat back on his heels. "I haul freight, small cargo runs, medical supplies, machine parts. Whatever people need moved from one place to another. It does not pay much, but it keeps my ship running. And you just happened to pass by this moon?" "No." Taeyang's expression did not change. "I was 3 days away when I picked up your beacon." I changed course. Yuna's eyes narrowed. 3 days? You traveled 3 days out of your way. For me? Yes, that makes no sense. The fuel alone would cost more than you could earn in a month. And you risked the council's anger. Why would you do that? Taeyang was quiet for a moment. He looked down at his hands. 5 years ago, my ship broke down in deep space. I was alone. No one would help me. I was too far from any trade route. No one wanted to waste their time. I sent out a distress call for 2 weeks. No one answered. I thought I would die out there. He paused. His jaw tightened. Then a ship appeared. An old merchant. He was not human. He was Vexerin. You know them? The blue ones with the tentacles. He pulled me aboard. He fixed my ship. He gave me food and water. He asked for nothing in return. When I asked him why he helped me, he said something I never forgot. What did he say? He said that the measure of a civilization is how it treats those who cannot help themselves. He said that if we only help people when it benefits us, then we are not civilized. We are just animals pretending to be better. Yuna was silent. She understood now. This human had learned the same lesson she had learned. That there was something more important than rules and profit. Something more important than fear. That Vexerin was wise, she said quietly. He was. He died 2 years later. Pirates attacked his ship. He refused to abandon his crew. He stayed and fought so they could escape. I heard about it from another merchant. I wished I could have thanked him one more time. Taeyang stood up and stretched. So when I heard your beacon, I did not think about the cost. I did not think about the council. I thought about that old merchant. I thought about what he would do. And I knew I had to come. Yuna studied him. He was smaller than her. Weaker. His species had no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons. But there was something in his eyes. Something hard and unyielding. This human had faced death before. He had faced fear. And he had chosen to be kind anyway. You are strange, Taeyang, she said. Most humans I met were afraid of everything. They stayed close to their home worlds. They avoided danger. But you are different. Taeyang smiled slightly. Not all humans are the same. Some of us like the quiet life. Others, like me, we cannot sit still. We need to move, to see what is over the next horizon. Even if it is dangerous, and that is a lichen trait. We are hunters. We must always be moving forward. Then maybe we are not so different after all. Over the next few days, Taeyang worked on repairing Yuna's emergency supplies. He showed her how to set up water collectors that would pull moisture from the thin air. He taught her how to rig a solar panel to charge her beacon. He gave her spare tools from his ship so she could make repairs if needed. Yuna watched and learned. She asked questions. Taeyang answered them patiently. He did not talk down to her. He did not treat her like she was stupid. He treated her like an equal. It had been a long time since anyone had done that. On the 3rd day, Yuna asked, "What will you do now?" "Your cargo. Your schedule. You must have lost work by coming here." Taeyang shrugged. "I will find more work. There is always someone who needs something moved. I will be fine. The council will hear about this. They track all ships. When they realize you helped an exile, they will come for you. Maybe. Maybe not. Space is big. I am just one small ship. They might not notice. They will notice." Yuna's voice was firm. "They notice everything. You have put yourself in danger for me. I cannot allow that. You cannot stop me. I made my choice. I do not regret it," Yuna growled low in her throat. It was a sound of frustration, not anger. "You humans are so stubborn. Do you not understand? The council does not forgive. They do not forget. They will hunt you. They will destroy you, just like they destroyed me." Taeyang met her eyes. "Then let them try." The simple confidence in his voice surprised her. This was not bravado. This was not foolish courage. This was something else. This human understood the danger. He understood the risk. and he had decided that it did not matter. He had decided that helping her was worth whatever price he had to pay. Yuna felt something shift inside her chest. Respect. That was what she felt. This small, fragile human had earned her respect. Not through strength, not through violence, but through honor, through loyalty, through refusing to abandon someone in need. "You remind me of my people," she said softly, "the way they used to be, before the council, before the rules and the fear. We used to believe in honor, in protecting the weak, in standing with our pack no matter what. But we forgot. We became what the galaxy wanted us to be. Soldiers, killers, tools." Taeyang tilted his head. "It is not too late to remember. For me, I am alone. I have no pack, no family, no home. You have yourself. That is a start." They sat in silence for a while. The cave was warmer now. The heater hummed quietly. Outside, the gray wind blew across the barren landscape. But inside, there was comfort. There was peace. That evening, Taeyang prepared to leave. He packed his tools. He checked his supplies. He made sure Yuna had everything she needed. Then he stood at the entrance of the cave and looked back at her. "I have to go," he said, "but I will leave you my emergency communicator. If you need help, if anything happens, you can reach me. The range is limited, but it should work for a few light years. I will check in when I can." Yuna stood up. She walked over to him. She was much taller than him. She looked down at his upturned face. "You have given me more than supplies, Taeyang. You have given me hope. I will not forget this. If you ever need help, call me. I will answer. I swear it on my honor," Taeyang smiled. "I will remember that." He held out his hand. Yuna looked at it confused. "It is a human gesture," he explained. "We shake hands to make a promise. To show we are friends." Yuna reached out slowly. Her hand was much larger than his. Her claws were long and sharp, but she was gentle as she wrapped her fingers around his hand. They shook once, twice, a promise made between two outcasts, two people who refused to let the galaxy break them. Taeyang turned and walked back to his ship. Yuna followed him outside. She watched as he climbed the ramp and disappeared inside. The engines coughed to life. The ship lifted slowly off the ground. It hovered for a moment, then turned toward the sky. Yuna stood there until the ship was gone, until it was just a small point of light among the stars. Then it vanished completely. She was alone again. But somehow she did not feel alone. She felt connected. She felt like she had found something precious. A friend, an ally, someone who saw her not as a monster or a tool but as a person. She went back to her cave. The communicator Taeyang had left sat on a rock. It was a simple device, old and worn, but it represented something important. It represented trust. It represented hope. Yuna picked it up and held it carefully. She sat down and looked at the supplies Taeyang had brought. Food, water, medicine, tools. He had given her everything she needed to survive. More than that, he had given her a reason to survive. He had reminded her that the galaxy was not all darkness, that there were still people who cared. Still people who would risk everything to do what was right. Yuna made a decision. She would not just survive. She would live. She would become strong again. And one day when Taeyang needed her, she would be ready. She would answer his call the same way he had answered hers, without hesitation, without fear, without asking for anything in return. She stood up and walked to the entrance of the cave. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Taeyang was flying through the darkness. Somewhere out there, the council was making its plans. Somewhere out there, the galaxy continued its cold and endless dance. But here, on this barren moon, something had changed. Two souls had met. Two people had made a promise. And that promise would echo through the stars in ways neither of them could imagine. Yuna smiled. It was a small smile, the first she had made in months. She felt the strength returning to her body. She felt the fire returning to her heart. She was not done yet. She was not broken. She was Yuna, warrior of the Lycan people, and she had just found something the council could never take from her. She had found a friend. She had found hope. She had found proof that even in the darkest corner of the galaxy, there was still light, still kindness, still honor, and that was worth fighting for. That was worth living for. That was worth everything. The council chamber was filled with tension. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in their seats, their faces grim. On the central display, a recording played. It showed a small, battered freighter landing on the moon of Kestar. It showed a human walking toward a cave. It showed him staying for 3 days. Then it showed him leaving. The High Chancellor stood. His forearms were crossed. His voice was cold with anger. This human defied our judgment. He aided a convicted exile. He has broken our most sacred law. This cannot stand. A representative from the Vexrin sector spoke up. His tentacles waved slowly. With respect, Chancellor, the human is not part of the Council. He is not bound by our laws. Perhaps a warning would be sufficient. A warning? The Chancellor's eyes blazed. If we allow this to pass, others will follow. Exiles will believe they can find help. Our authority will crumble. No, this human must be made an example. He must be punished. Another representative, a small insectoid creature, clicked his mandibles. And the exile? The lichen female? She still lives. That will be corrected. The Chancellor turned to a shadowy figure standing in the corner. Jihoon, step forward. The figure moved into the light. Jihoon was tall and lean, with pale skin and cold eyes. He wore the black uniform of a council enforcer. His species was Korval, known for their ruthlessness and efficiency. They felt no mercy. They showed no hesitation. They were the Council's perfect weapons. You have your orders, the Chancellor said. Find the human. Find the exile. Eliminate them both. Make sure the galaxy knows what happens to those who defy the Council. Jihoon bowed. His voice was soft and emotionless. It will be done, Chancellor. He turned and left the chamber. Behind him, the representatives began to argue about methods and consequences. But Jihoon did not care about politics. He cared only about his mission. He had never failed an assignment. He did not intend to start now. Jihoon went to his ship. It was sleek and deadly, built for speed and combat. He entered the coordinates for Kessatar into his navigation system. Then he activated the long-range scanner. The human ship had left a trail. Jihoon could follow it, could track him across the stars. It was only a matter of time, but Jihoon was thorough. He sent out messages to bounty hunters across 6 systems. The Council was offering a reward for information about the human and the exile. The price was high enough to attract attention. Within hours, dozens of hunters began searching. Some were professionals. Others were desperate criminals looking for easy money. All of them wanted the reward. Far away, on a small trading station, Taeyang docked his ship. He needed to refuel and restock supplies. He also needed to find work. The detour to Kestar had cost him credits he could not afford to lose. He walked into the station's main hub looking for cargo postings. The hub was crowded. Aliens of every species moved through the space. Some were traders. Some were travelers. Some were clearly criminals. Taeyang kept his head down and moved to the job board. He scanned the listings. Most were long-distance hauls that would not pay enough. Others required specialized cargo holds he did not have. A hand touched his shoulder. Taeyang turned quickly, his instincts alert. A female alien stood behind him. She was Rintar, with blue skin and large eyes. She wore the uniform of a station security officer. You are Taeyang? She asked. Her voice was quiet. Yes, is there a problem? You need to leave now. There are hunters asking about you. They know you helped the exile on Kessatar. The Council has put a price on your head. Taeyang's blood went cold. How much time do I have? Not much. They are asking everyone who comes through. Someone will recognize you soon. Go, get to your ship. Get out of this system. Why are you helping me? The officer's expression softened. Because I heard what you did. You helped someone who needed it. That takes courage. I will not let the Council punish you for being a good person. Now go, quickly, Taeyang nodded. He turned and walked back toward the docking bay. He moved fast, but not too fast. Running would draw attention. He kept his face neutral. His heart pounded in his chest. He could feel eyes on him. Could feel people watching. He reached his ship and climbed aboard. He powered up the engines immediately. The station control channel crackled. Freighter designation TY447, you are leaving without clearance. Please state your reason. Taeyang ignored the message. He released the docking clamps and pushed the throttle forward. His ship lurched away from the station. Alarms began to sound. Behind him, another ship detached from the station. Then another. The hunters had found him. Taeyang cursed under his breath. He pushed his ship to maximum speed. The old engines groaned in protest. His pursuers were faster, newer, better armed. He could not outrun them. He needed another plan. He changed course suddenly, diving toward a nearby asteroid field. The asteroids were thick and dangerous. Most pilots avoided them. But Taeyang had flown through worse. He threaded his ship between massive rocks, moving purely on instinct. The hunters followed, but they were less skilled. One ship clipped an asteroid and spun away, damaged. Another tried to cut him off and crashed into a rock cluster, but 3 ships remained. They were persistent. They fired at him, trying to disable his engines. Taeyang dodged and weaved, using every trick he knew. But his ship was old, slow. It was only a matter of time before they hit him. Then his communicator lit up, the one he had given to Yuna. Her voice came through, rough and urgent. Taeyang, I see them. I am tracking their signals. Turn to heading 247 now. Taeyang did not question. He turned hard, trusting her completely. The hunters followed. Taeyang burst out of the asteroid field into open space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then one of the pursuing ships exploded. Then another. Then the third. Taeyang stared at his scanner in shock. The hunters were gone, destroyed by weapons fire. But where had the shots come from? Yuna's voice came through again. There is an abandoned weapons platform near Kessitar. I have been studying it. I managed to get it working. The range is limited, but I can cover the approaches to this system. Are you hurt? No, I am fine. How did you know I was in trouble? I have been monitoring all communications. I heard the bounty hunters talking. I knew they would find you eventually. So I prepared. Taeyang felt relief wash over him. Thank you. You saved my life. You saved mine first. We are even. There was a pause. But Taeyang, this is only the beginning. The Council will send more. Stronger ships. Professional enforcers. We cannot run forever. Then we do not run. We prepare. What do you mean? Come to my ship. We will talk. I have an idea. Yuna arrived 6 hours later. She had found a small shuttle in an abandoned depot near the weapons platform. She landed it next to Taeyang's ship on a dark asteroid. They met in the cargo bay of his freighter. It was cramped and cluttered with boxes and equipment. Yuna looked around, her sharp eyes taking in everything. This is your ship? It is not much, but it works. It is a death trap. One good hit and you are done. I know. That is why we need to make changes. Taeyang pulled out a datapad and showed her a schematic. I have been thinking. We cannot fight the Council directly. They have too many ships, too many resources. But we can make them regret coming after us. We turn the ship into a fortress. Add armor. Add weapons. Make it something they cannot ignore. Yuna studied the schematic. Her eyes widened. This will take time, money, resources we do not have. I have been hauling cargo for 5 years. I know where to find salvage, where to buy black market parts. I know people who will help us if we pay them enough. It will not be easy. But it is possible. Yuna looked at him. You would do this? You would turn yourself into a target? You could still run, still hide. Why would you choose to fight? Taeyang's expression hardened. Because I am tired of running. I'm tired of the Council deciding who lives and who dies. I am tired of good people being punished for doing the right thing. You stood up to them. You refused to kill innocents, and they tried to destroy you for it. That is wrong, and I will not let them get away with it. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was a fierce smile full of teeth. You are insane, human. But I like it. I will help you. We will make them regret the day they exiled me. We will show them that some people do not break no matter how hard you push them. They shook hands again. The promise made on Kessitar was now a pact of war. 2 outcasts against an empire. 2 souls who refused to surrender. It was madness. It was impossible. But they did not care. They had found something worth fighting for. They had found each other. Over the next weeks they worked. Taeyang flew to hidden salvage yards and bought old armor plates. Yuna used her military knowledge to reinforce the ship's weak points. They installed weapon systems stripped from decommissioned military craft. They upgraded the shields and the engines. The ship slowly transformed. It was no longer a simple freighter. It was becoming something else. Something dangerous. Something that could fight back. One night as they rested, Yuna asked, "What will we do when the Council sends their enforcer?" "We will be ready," Taeyang said. "We will show them that humans do not give up, that we protect our friends. That we fight to the end, even if the end means death? Even then, Yuna nodded slowly. I understand now why that Vexrin merchant helped you. He saw something in your species. Something rare. You do not measure strength by size or claws or fangs. The attack came without warning. Taiyang was in the engine room adjusting the power couplings when the alarm screamed to life. He ran to the cockpit. Yuna was already there, her claws flying across the controls. On the scanner, 6 ships appeared. They were surrounding them, blocking every escape route. Council warships, Yuna said. Her voice was tense. 3 cruisers. 3 interceptors. They have us boxed in. Taiyang slid into the pilot seat. His hands moved automatically, checking systems. How long until they are in weapons range? 3 minutes. Maybe less. Can we run? Not fast enough. They will cut us down before we reach jump speed. Then we fight, Yuna looked at him. Against 6 warships? That is suicide. Maybe, but I would rather die fighting than running. Taiyang's jaw was set. His eyes were hard. Are you with me? Yuna showed her teeth in a fierce grin. Always, they prepared quickly. Yuna took the weapons station. Taiyang focused on flying. The modified freighter was stronger now, but it was still just 1 ship. Against 6 military vessels, they should have no chance. But Taiyang had learned something in his years of flying. The best weapon was not the biggest gun. It was unpredictability. It was doing what the enemy did not expect. The lead cruiser hailed them. A voice came through the speakers. It was cold and emotionless, Ji-hoon. Human Taiyang, exile Yuna. You are under arrest for violation of council law. Power down your ship and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. Taiyang hit the transmit button. Ji-hoon, I have a counteroffer. You turn around and leave. Tell the council we are not their problem anymore. And maybe you get to live. There was a pause. Then Ji-hoon spoke again. His voice had not changed. Still cold. Still emotionless. You believe you can threaten me? You are 1 damaged freighter. I have 6 warships. Your bravery is admirable. Your chances are 0. Then come and get us. Taiyang cut the transmission. He looked at Yuna. Ready? Ready. The warships opened fire. Energy beams and missiles streaked through space. Taiyang threw the ship into a hard spin. The first salvo missed. Barely. He pushed the engines past their safety limits. The old freighter groaned and shook, but it moved. Fast. Yuna returned fire. Their weapons were salvaged military-grade cannons. They were powerful, but they drained energy fast. She had to make every shot count. She targeted the nearest interceptor. Her first shot hit its shields. The second broke through. The third hit the engine. The interceptor exploded in a ball of fire. The other ships reacted immediately. They adjusted their formation. They came at the freighter from 3 angles. Taiyang dove toward the nearest asteroid. He used the massive rock as cover. Energy beams scorched its surface. Chunks of rock exploded around them. They are trying to box us in again, Yuna said. If they succeed, we are done. Then we do not let them. Taiyang's mind raced. He needed an advantage, something they did not expect. Then he saw it. A narrow canyon cutting through the asteroid. It was barely wide enough for their ship. The warships were too big to follow. He turned hard toward the canyon. Yuna saw what he was doing. That is insane. 1 wrong move and we hit the walls, trust me. Taiyang entered the canyon at full speed. The walls blurred past them. Alarms screamed warnings. The proximity sensors went crazy. Behind them, the warships tried to follow. The first cruiser clipped the canyon entrance. It spun away, damaged. The interceptors were smaller. They could fit. 2 of them entered the canyon behind Taiyang, but Taiyang knew these tactics. This was guerrilla fighting. Hit and run. Use the terrain. Make the enemy fight on your terms. He slowed suddenly. The first interceptor shot past him, unable to stop. Yuna fired. Point-blank range. The interceptor exploded. Debris filled the canyon. The second interceptor tried to dodge. It hit the wall. Another explosion. Taiyang burst out of the canyon. 3 ships left. 2 cruisers and 1 interceptor. Better odds. Still bad, but better. Ji-hoon's voice came through again. This time there was a hint of emotion. Annoyance. You are more skilled than I expected. But skill is not enough. You cannot win this, Taiyang did not answer. He was too busy flying. The 3 remaining ships came at him from different angles. Coordinated, professional. This was not random fire. This was a planned attack. Ji-hoon was a trained enforcer. He knew how to fight. But Taeyang had something Ji-hoon did not have: desperation, creativity, and a Lycan warrior who refused to surrender. Yuna, focus all power to forward shields. All of it, weapons, engines, everything. That will leave us defenseless from behind. I know. Do it, Yuna obeyed. The shields flared to life, glowing bright blue. Taeyang pointed the ship directly at the lead cruiser. He pushed the throttle to maximum. They accelerated toward the warship. What are you doing? Yuna asked. Something stupid, the cruiser fired. Energy beams hit their shields. The shields held. Barely. Warning lights flashed across every panel. The ship was shaking itself apart. But Taeyang did not slow down. He kept going, faster, closer. The cruiser tried to turn. Too slow, too big. Taeyang flew straight at it. At the last second, he pulled up hard. They skimmed over the cruiser's hull, so close that Yuna could see the details of the armor plating. She fired down, point blank. Her shots tore through the cruiser's bridge. Explosions rippled across its surface. Taeyang pulled away. Behind them, the cruiser drifted, dead in space. 2 ships left. 1 cruiser, 1 interceptor, but their ship was dying. Systems were failing. The shields were gone. The engines were overheating. They had minutes left. Maybe less. We cannot take another run like that, Yuna said. Then we end this now. Taeyang changed course. He headed straight for the last cruiser. But this time it was different. This time he was not trying to ram them. He was leading them somewhere. Yuna understood. The weapons platform. You are leading them into range. Exactly. The cruiser and interceptor followed. They fired constantly. Shots hit the freighter's hull. Armor plates blew off. Systems exploded. But Taeyang kept flying. Kept pushing. He crossed an invisible line in space. The weapons platform activated. Ancient defense guns came to life. They had been dormant for decades. But Yuna had spent weeks repairing them, getting them operational. Now they fired. Heavy weapons designed to destroy capital ships. The cruiser tried to dodge, too late. The shots hit it broadside. The cruiser broke apart. The interceptor turned to run. Yuna fired their last missile. It streaked through space, hit the interceptor's engines. The ship spun away, crippled silence. They had won. Against impossible odds. Against 6 warships. They had won, but the victory felt hollow. Their ship was barely functional. They were stranded. And Ji-hoon was still alive. His ship had been damaged but not destroyed. Taeyang and Yuna floated in the cockpit, exhausted. Around them, alarms continued to wail. The ship was dying. They had maybe an hour before life support failed completely. We need to abandon ship, Yuna said. Take the shuttle. Find somewhere to hide. No. Taeyang's voice was firm. We stay. We repair what we can. We do not run. Taeyang, there is nothing left to repair. The ship is done. Then we find another one. We salvage parts from those wrecked warships. We rebuild. We keep fighting. Yuna stared at him. You are serious. Completely, she laughed. It was a harsh sound, but genuine. You humans are insane. You never know when to quit. That is what makes us dangerous. They spent the next hours working frantically. They used the shuttle to reach the wrecked warships. They stripped parts from the dead vessels. Power cores. Shield generators. Weapon systems. They brought everything back to their freighter and began the impossible task of making it functional again. It should not have worked. They were not engineers. They were not shipwrights. But they had determination, they had skill, and they had each other. By the time Ji-hoon's damaged ship limped away, calling for reinforcements, Taeyang and Yuna had managed to get their ship operational. Barely. It was held together with spare parts and hope. But it moved, it flew, and that was enough. They sat in the cockpit looking at the debris field around them. 6 warships destroyed, their ship barely alive. It was a victory. A real victory. They had proven something important. That the Council was not invincible. That resistance was possible. They will send more, Yuna said quietly. Bigger ships. More enforcers. They will not stop until we are dead. I know. Then what do we do? Taeyang was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was a tired smile. But it was real. We do what humans always do. We survive, we adapt. We find others like us. Others who are tired of the Council's rules. Others who want to be free. We build something new. Something better. A rebellion? Maybe. Or maybe just a safe place. A place where people can live without fear, where they can make their own choices, where they can help each other without being punished. Yuna considered this. That is a dream, Taeyang. Dreams do not survive in this galaxy. Then we make them survive. We fight for them. We protect them. We refuse to let them die. Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. All right, I will follow you. Not because I think we can win, but because I would rather die fighting for a dream than live in the Council's nightmare. They shook hands again. The third time. The third promise. First, they had promised to help each other. Then they had promised to fight together. Now they promised to build something new, something that could stand against the darkness. It was impossible. It was madness. 6 months passed. The Outer Rim was different from the core territories. Here, the Council's control was weak. Pirates and smugglers operated freely. Small colonies struggled to survive without support. It was dangerous and wild, but it was also free. Taeyang and Yuna found an abandoned mining station orbiting a dead planet. The station was old and damaged, but it was structurally sound. They claimed it as their own. They began repairs immediately. The work was hard and slow, but they had time, and they had purpose. Word spread quickly in the Outer Rim. Stories traveled fast in places where the Council did not control information. People heard about the human and the Lycan, who had destroyed 6 warships. They heard about 2 outcasts who refused to surrender. Some thought it was a legend. Others believed it was real. The first to arrive was Minji. She was Rintar with blue skin and large eyes. She had been a doctor once before the Council accused her of treating rebels. They had stripped her medical license and exiled her. She had been drifting through the Rim, working odd jobs, barely surviving. When she heard about the station, she came immediately. Taeyang met her at the docking bay. She stepped off her small shuttle carrying a single bag. She looked tired, scared, but determined. I heard you help people, she said. People like me. People the Council threw away, Taeyang nodded. We do. Can you help us in return? I am a doctor. I can treat injuries, illness. I can teach others basic medicine. If that is useful to you. It is very useful. Welcome to the station, Minji. She smiled. It was a small, hesitant smile. But it was genuine. Thank you. I've been alone for so long. I forgot what it felt like to be wanted. Next came Kyung. He was human like Taeyang. He had been a mechanic on a colony world before the Council destroyed it for failing to meet production quotas. He was the only survivor. He had spent 2 years hiding in the Rim, fixing ships for criminals, saving every credit he could. When he heard about the station, he used all his money to buy passage there. I want to help, he told Taeyang. I want to build something that lasts. Something the Council cannot destroy. Can you fix ships? Repair systems? I can fix anything. I learned from my father. He was the best mechanic in our sector. Then you have a place here. Kyung's eyes filled with tears. He wiped them away quickly. Thank you. You do not know what this means. To have purpose again. To have hope. Others followed. Slowly at first. Then faster. A Vexran trader who had been blacklisted for helping refugees. A young Korval female who had refused to become an enforcer. A family of insectoids whose colony had been destroyed in a Council mining operation. Each had a story. Each had been hurt by the galaxy's cruel rules. Each came looking for a place to belong. The station grew. They built living quarters, medical bays, workshop spaces, a community garden where they grew food. It was not much. It was not fancy. But it was theirs. It was safe. It was home. Yuna trained those who wanted to fight. She taught them tactics, strategy, how to use their strengths and hide their weaknesses. She was a demanding teacher. Hard and unforgiving, but fair. She pushed them because she wanted them to survive. And slowly they became warriors. Not soldiers, warriors, people who fought for each other, for their families, for their freedom. Taeyang handled logistics. He organized supply runs. He negotiated with traders. He made sure everyone had what they needed. He was good at it, better than he expected. He had spent years flying alone. But now he was part of something bigger, something that mattered. One evening, Taeyang and Yuna stood on the observation deck. They looked out at the stars. Below them, the station was alive with activity. People laughing, children playing, families sharing meals. It was beautiful. We did this, Yuna said softly. We built this from nothing. We did. But it is not finished. The council will find us eventually. They will come for us, I know. But now we are not alone. Now we have others to fight beside us, a pack. Yuna smiled. Yes, a pack. Not bound by blood, not bound by species, bound by choice, by loyalty, by refusing to let each other fall. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Taeyang's communicator beeped. An incoming message. He checked it. His expression darkened. What is it? Yuna asked. A warning. From one of our scouts. Jihoon is coming. He has a fleet with him this time. 20 ships. Maybe more. He will be here in 3 days. Yuna's claws extended instinctively. Then we prepare. We make our stand. We could run. Evacuate the station, scatter. They cannot chase everyone. No. Yuna's voice was firm. Running is what they expect. Running is what they want. We stay, we fight. We show them that some things are worth dying for. Taeyang looked at her. Then he nodded. All right, we fight. But we fight smart. We use every advantage we have. They called a meeting. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Taeyang stood before them. His voice was calm but serious. The council is coming. They know where we are. They are bringing a fleet to destroy us. I will not lie to you. Our chances are not good. If you want to leave, now is the time. No one will judge you. No one will think less of you. Survival is not cowardice, silence. Then Minji stood up. I am not leaving. I came here to help people. That does not change just because it is dangerous. Kyung stood next. I came here to build. I am not done building. I stay. One by one they stood. Everyone in the hall, young and old, strong and weak, every species, every background, they all stood together. We stay, they said as one. We fight. Taeyang felt emotion swell in his chest. Pride, fear, love. These people trusted him, believed in him. He would not let them down. The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. They reinforced the station's shields. They set up defensive weapons platforms. They laid traps in the surrounding space, mines, false signals, anything to slow the enemy down. It was not enough, but it was something. Yuna organized the fighters into teams. She gave each team specific tasks. Some would man the weapons, others would handle repairs. A few would pilot the small fighters they had salvaged and rebuilt. It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. On the 3rd day, the fleet arrived. 20 warships, just as the scout had reported. They took up positions around the station. Jihoon's flagship was in the center, large, powerful, unstoppable. Jihoon's voice came through the communication system. Taeyang, Yuna, I give you one final chance. Surrender now. Face justice, and I will allow the others to leave unharmed. Taeyang hit the transmit button. Jihoon, I give you a final chance. Turn around. Leave this place, and we will not destroy you. There was a pause. Then Jihoon spoke again. His voice was still emotionless. But there was something else there. Curiosity. You believe you can fight 20 warships? You are brave. Or foolish. I have not decided which. Come and find out. The fleet attacked. All 20 ships fired at once. Energy beams and missiles streaked toward the station. The shields flared. They held, for now. The defenders returned fire. Their weapons were smaller, weaker, but there were many of them. They focused on the nearest ships. Concentrated fire. One warship's shields failed, then another, but it was not enough. The council ships were too strong, too many. The station's shields began to fail. Hull breaches opened. People died. But the defenders did not stop. They kept fighting, kept believing. Taeyang flew one of the small fighters. He led a team of pilots against the enemy interceptors. They were outnumbered 5-1, but they knew the terrain. They used the debris field from previous battles. They used hit-and-run tactics. They made every shot count. Yuna was on the station coordinating the defense. Her voice was steady, calm. She directed teams to repair breaches, to redistribute power, to keep fighting no matter what. She was everywhere at once. A warrior, a leader, a symbol of resistance. The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded. People died on both sides. The station was falling apart. But they held, barely, desperately, but they held. Then something unexpected happened. New ships appeared. Not council ships, smaller vessels, freighters, smuggler craft, pirates, dozens of them. They had heard about the battle. They had come to help. At first, Taeyang could not believe it. These were criminals, outlaws. Why would they help? Then he understood. The council was everyone's enemy. The council made the rules that hurt people, that destroyed lives. And these pirates and smugglers were tired of it. They saw an opportunity, a chance to strike back. The new arrivals attacked the council fleet from behind. It was chaos. The council ships tried to adjust. They split their attention. And in that moment of confusion, the station's defenders struck hard. Concentrated fire on Jihoon's flagship. Every weapon, every fighter. All at once, the flagship's shields collapsed. Explosions rippled across its hull. Jihoon tried to escape, but Taeyang was waiting. He flew his fighter straight at the flagship's bridge. He fired everything he had. Point-blank range, the bridge exploded. The flagship went dark, dead in space. The rest of the council fleet hesitated. Their leader was gone. Their advantage was lost. They were surrounded by angry, desperate people who refused to surrender. They made a choice. They retreated. All of them. They jumped away, leaving their dead behind. Silence fell over the battlefield. Then someone started cheering. Then another. Then everyone. The defenders had won. Against impossible odds. Against an empire. They had won. Taeyang landed his fighter on the station. He climbed out, exhausted. His hands were shaking. His body ached. But he was alive.